with respect to hierarchical, there is only one base class and multiple derived class. So all these derived class are going to inherit data from that only single base class. So deriving multiple subclasses from the only single base class. So this is the structure. Assume that this is the figure. A is the first base class and B, C and D are the multiple subclasses for that particular single A base class, and all these base classes, derived classes B, C and D are going to inherit data from the single A class. So yes, how we are going to access the data from A class? Suppose I have written this code. I have just written the class A, class B, class C and class D, and suppose I want to call the data from, or I want to print some data from class A. So how we are going to print that data which is available inside the class A? So for that particular purpose, we have to create the object of each and every class. Okay, and with the help of that, we are going to access that particular method which is available inside the class A. So just look at the example. Here class A is the base class. So inside that there are two different members, just like A and B of integer type, and one function is of get number, and he is going to accept that number from user, enter number and A, and that particular class is derived inside the class B, and inside the class B he is going to calculate the square of that number. So for that particular purpose, we'll just call that particular function which is available inside the base class. Okay, here in this case, get number. I'll just show you. Okay, look at this. Here in this case, he is going to call that particular method which is available inside the base class. So he will get that number, and here in this case, he is going to calculate that particular square for this particular class B. Next one, with respect to another class, suppose there is one more class is available, class C, and he is going to again derive the same class public A. So again here he is going to calculate the cube, and for that particular purpose he'll require one number. So again inside the cube he is going to call that particular same function inside the cube, and he is going to calculate that particular cube for that same number. So how you are going to provide the call for each and every class? So for that particular purpose, here in this case, first of all, we are going to create the object of first derived class, class B, and we are going to create the object for another class, class C. Okay, and and with respect to each and every object, we are going to call both these functions because both are different, or both are available in different classes. So by default, they are going to access the same data which is available inside the base class. Which data they are going to access? Just like any number, whatever be the entered by user. Okay, so this is related with hierarchical inheritance. Means only one base class is there and two different derived classes are there. So two or any n number of classes are there, and all these classes are going to share all the members as well as functions from the base class to their derived class. Okay, so I will show you the actual implementation. So first of all, okay, I will just write the blueprint. Yes, which class we are going to consider? First of all, I will just consider as a base class. This is the first class. Second one is
derived one.
I will write as a derived one because you will get the better idea how many derived classes are there. So that's why I'm just writing names in that manner. Okay, derived 2. Okay, till time we will only consider 2 derived classes. And yes, how we are going to provide the that relation with respect to derived class 1? Colon
Public base.
public to the base class. Similarly, with respect to derived 2, we are going to access all the members from base class to the derived class in public access specifier mode. Okay, and now write the data. Okay, here I will just consider the public access specifier mode, and inside that I will accept any number which we want. Okay, so I will write the void and the method get number. Yes. Okay, suppose if you want to accept data from user, then in this case just write it down, cout and cin. And suppose if you want to directly initialize that particular variable, how you are going to initialize here in this case, guys? Instead of this cout and cin, directly no is equal to 10. Directly initialization is done, and this particular 10 is directly given to each and every derived class as per your choice. Okay, so I will accept that data from user. So enter any number and just provide this slash n here. Next one, scene, and I'm using that variable, instance variable number. So now use that particular method inside the derived class. Yes, how we are going to just define this class derive. Again, use the public access specifier mode. Public. And inside that I'll use the square. One more method as a square, and inside that square, okay, as per your choice, I'm just using all the previous methods, square and cube. So what is the logic behind the square? Yes, I'll just display the square of that number. When it will display to next line. Square of that number is, yes guys, number into number. But for that particular purpose, we have to call that particular method. Yes. So user is going to be enter that number. So that's why call that number. Similar logic inside the derived case. So just try to write it down. Public void cube, and inside that cube, first of all accept that number. Next one, just try to display slash n cube of the number. Okay, here I will just use the formula number star and number. This is the formula for cube. Yes, so we have done with base class and two different derived class. So now just provide the call for each and every class, because both are independent. Okay, so how you are going to provide the call? So for that particular purpose, first of all, create the object of first class, that is derived 1, and I'll use as a d1. Okay, and then yes, how you are going to provide the call? d1 dot square, the square, the name, the method which we have been considered square. Okay, and next one is for
d2 dot
derived d2. Okay, we are going to create the object for this class derived d2, and then
d2 dot
cube. Okay, so I'll execute this code. Let us check, is there any error? Okay, enter any number. Okay, it will execute it. So from which function this particular line is going to be returned? Okay, let us start with main. How it actually works? First of all, compile it directly going inside the main function. here in this case we have created the object of derived class 1, okay, d1, and with the help of d1 we are going to call the square function. So let us move inside the derived class and the square function. So inside the square we have called the get number function method, and that particular function is available inside the base class. So look at the logic behind the get number. So inside the get number, first line is available, means cout, enter any number. So that particular that particular line is available at output side, and compiler is waiting for any number. Okay, so now our compiler now currently available at this moment. Okay, cin. So once you are going to enter any value, okay, I will enter as a 10 because I have considered that number as an integer type, so that's why I'm just going to enter as a 10. So once I will enter it as a 10, what it will display is, once I have entered as a 10, your compiler return from that particular get number function, and he will print the next line, square of the number into number, that is 10 into 10, that is 100. So that's why inside the output window square of number is 100. Yes, is this visible, guys? Square of number, yes, 100. Okay, and again, means with respect to this square function, now it is done. Next one, again compiler move towards second object, that is derived d2, and with the help of d2 again he is going to call the cube function, and inside the cube again same logic, get number. So that's why he will display that function, line, enter any number. So okay, I will just enter again as 10. So again he will return that line, cube of number is 1000. Okay, so again I will use /n, so we will get the better output window. Just look at the guys, I'm using 10. Okay, so the square of number is 100. Next one, this particular enter any number, this particular message is from cube function, and cube of 20 is 8000. Okay, so this is nothing but derived class. Again, suppose we want to use one more class for that particular base, and I will provide the name, it has a derived 3, and I am again using that particular base function. Okay, so which function we are going to consider here? Yes, guys, anyone? We have done with square, cube. Yes,
square root.
Okay, square root, again for that particular purpose we have to use the math function. Okay, instead of that I will just calculate the area of circle. Okay, for that particular purpose I will consider that number as a radius. Okay, I will write the area of circle method, and inside that I am going to accept that number, and I will display that as a /n area of circle. Then what is the formula, guys? 3.14 into number into number. Okay, that is 3.14 into r square. So here in this case I will consider that r is nothing but again number. So again just provide the call for this particular function. Yes, how you are going to provide the call? Again create the object of the third class derived d3, and with the help of that d3 just try to call that function area of circle, and now look at the output. Okay, enter any number. Okay, this particular message is from which for which class? Derived class 1. So I will just enter 10. So he will calculate the square of that number as 100. Next one, I will enter 10 again for second derived class. and he will calculate the cube. So he will return 1000. Next, third one. This particular message is regarding derived class 3. Again, I will enter 10. So he will calculate the area of circle and he will return as a 314. Okay, means 3.14 into number. So that's why 3.14 into 100. So you will return as a 314. Okay, so this is related with hierarchical inheritance. Yes, guys, clear? Guys, clear about hierarchical inheritance? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So I will copy this code and share you. Okay. Next, moving towards next point. So this is the output we have done. Next one is the hybrid inheritance. Yes. What is meant by hybrid inheritance, guys? It is nothing but the combination of both hierarchical and multiple inheritance. Okay. So this is the figure with respect to hybrid inheritance. Okay. If we will consider or we will split this particular figure into two different parts. Assume that this is the first part. The line which I have drawn below that B and C, with respect to B and C. So first part, assume that I will write it as a part 1. Yes, this particular part A is going to derive two different classes B and C. This particular type, yes, which is, what is the type? This A is going to derive two different classes B and C. This one is nothing but hierarchical inheritance. Yes, guys, hierarchical.
Yes.
One base class and two different derived classes. Yes, right now we have done with that. And next one with respect to, okay, now again I will draw the another line. Draw another line with respect to this one.
Multiple.
Now look at the boxes which are available below the red line. B and C are nothing but two different base classes, and they are going to derive only one single class D. So this one is nothing but multiple. So this particular hybrid inheritance is nothing but the combination of both hierarchical inheritance and the multiple inheritance. Okay. So my question is that, guys, for which class you are going to create the object? Yes. For which class we are going to create the object? We are going to create the object for D class, and with the help of that D class, yes, with the help of that D class, means D is nothing but the child class, and with the help of that child class, we are going to access all the properties from the B class to A as well as from C to A. Yes, clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
With the help of that object which we have created for D class, with the help of that D object, we are going to achieve all the properties from B to A and as well as from C to A. So there are two different paths to achieve all the properties of this A class. First one, from A to B and B to D. This is the first path to access all the data from A to D, and this is the second path from A to C and C to D. Okay, so there are two different ways to access all the data from A to D. This is the idea behind the hierarchical inheritance. So, okay, so this is the example or blueprint. Suppose, assume that inside the class A, I have considered one method as a name function. So I want to access, or this is the blueprint for this particular hybrid inheritance. So class B is going to inherit all the data from class A. So this is the left hand side. Next one, class C is going to inherit all the data from class A. So this is the right hand side. And last one, class D is going to inherit all the data or member functions from B and C. So this is the last one. This is the left hand side and the right hand side. So this is the relation between this hybrid inheritance. So I will show you the actual implementation. Yes, is this visible now? Okay, I will again remove all this. Okay, now just I will draw the blueprint. Class A. Class A. Then second one, class B, and this particular class is going to inherit all the data from class A. Clear, guys? This is related with left hand side from first portion. Next one, class C is going to again inherit all the data members as well as functions from class A. Next, that is for last child class. Class D is going to inherit all the data public. Yes, public B,
Public B and public C.
public
B and C.
public C,
and C. B and C.
public C. So we are done with our blueprint. So assume that I will write one simple function inside this class A. Assume that I want to display hello world with the help of cout. Hello world with the help of cout inside the base class. Now my question is that this particular method is available inside the class B. Yes, guys. Inside the which scope? Inside the public scope. Am I right? Yes. Similarly, again, that particular method is available inside the class C and inside the public scope display method. Okay. Now we are talking about the class D. Yes. Now again, inside the class D, that display method is available.
Yes, sir.
Yes, that display method is available. Why that display method is available? Because that particular method is available inside the class B as well as inside the class C, because class D is going to derive all the properties from the class A. Okay, so inside the class B and inside the class C, display method is available. So by default, inside the class D, that particular method is available. Okay, so I will comment out this code public. And now my question is that suppose I want to call that particular function display, which is available inside the class A. Now that particular method is available inside the class D. So how you are going to provide the call to that particular display method? Yes, guys, are you getting my question? I want to call that display method which is available inside the class D, because that particular method is inherited from class A to class B as well as inside the C and inside the class D. So I want to call that particular display method. Yes. So
We have
for-
to create the object of D.
yes.
Object for class D.
Okay, so we will create the object for class D. Okay, I will create object of that class D as a small d. Next, I'm going to call that particular
D.display.
method d dot display. Is this valid declaration? Yes, clear, guys? Till time it is clear? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And now I will execute this code. What is the expected output, guys?
Hello.
What is the expected
Hello.
output? Is the hello. Once I will run this code,
Hello.
once I will run this code, it will display this error. What is that error? inside the main function integer main at line number 36. Okay, what is that line number? Okay, line number is 36. Clear. Error: request for member display is ambiguous. Candidate are void a display method, not display. What is that actually error, guys? Error is that the request for member display is ambiguous. Why it is ambiguous? Yes, ambiguity.
Because it is present in
Code
all the classes.
Yes, ambiguous.
Same method
both
is
classes
present in all the
B and
classes.
C.
Yes, in the previous lecture which we have been covered on Monday, ambiguity in multiple inheritance, because that particular method is available in both the classes, in both base classes. Okay, now if you are talking about the class D, what is the relation between B, C and D? This is nothing but multiple inheritance. So here in this case, this particular display method is available inside the class B also and class C also. But actual that particular method is available inside the class A. But with respect to this particular method, I will show you that particular figure. Okay, I will show you this particular figure. Here in this case, we are accessing the display method which is available inside the class A. Am I right? Yes, we are trying to access that particular display method which is available inside the class A from class D with the help of this object D dot display. But it will show error. Why, guys? Because your compiler is going to confuse. Your compiler is going to confuse with respect to this object, because this particular display method is going to be accessed from this way, also again from this way. So there are two different ways to access that particular display method. So your compiler is going to confuse to access that particular display method. Either choose the first path, means A, B and D, or the second one A, C and D. Okay, so this is the issue which is available inside the hybrid inheritance. Yes, guys, clear? Which issue is available, means how ambiguity is generated inside the hybrid inheritance. Yes, guys.
Yes, sir.
Because
Yes.
we are going to access the method which is available inside the A class. So there are two different ways: either access with the help of B class and either access with the help of C class. Okay, so that's why we have to remove this particular ambiguity. So how we are going to remove that particular ambiguity? So for that particular purpose, we are using the next concept is the virtual base class. Okay, so I will just explain you what is meant by virtual class. So the duplication of inherited members due to the multiple paths can be avoided by making the common base class as virtual base class. So here in this case, I will first of all tell you what is meant by the virtual base class. So the virtual base class is nothing but, or the virtual base classes are used in the virtual inheritance in a way of preventing multiple instances of a given class. Okay, here in this case, multiple instances are occurred, means we are going to access that particular method from B class as well as from C class. So to avoid that particular ambiguity, we are using that particular virtual class concept or virtual base class. So for that particular purpose, how we are going to achieve that particular virtual concept? So by default, we are using the virtual keyword to the base class. So this is the way in which we are going to represent. Just look at the guys. This is the way in which we are going to use the base class as a virtual inside the derived class. So this is the first way and this is the second way, means either use virtual keyword first of all before public, and this is the second one, public virtual A. Both are valid. if you are comfortable with first one, use that one, virtual public A, or the second one, public virtual A. So what will happen if we are using that virtual keyword? So once we have entered that virtual keyword inside the public scope, so he will save that, or he will avoid that ambiguity in the hierarchical multiple inheritance. When a base class is specified as virtual base, it acts as an indirect base more than once without duplication of its data members. Means only one instance is created, either it from B class or it from C class. Means only one instance is created, so that's why directly ambiguity is removed from that particular multiple inheritance, or the single copy of that data member is shared with respect to all the derived classes. So I will show you the actual implementation of this one. So okay, I will show you that the previous example as it is. What we have written here in this case, either use the virtual keyword before that public, otherwise after that public. Both are valid. And now I'm again executing the same code. Now look at, guys, he will display that output which is available inside the A class, class A, because only one instance is created for that particular class, and it is going to be accessed from either B class or from C class, but it will choose runtime, guys. I'm not sure it will choose from either B or it will A. First of all, he's going to check from the B class, because we have been here considered first of all as the B class, so that's why he directly going to achieve that particular method is from the B class. Okay, so in that manner he is going to access that particular method. Okay,